Hi there, my name's Damien, and in today's demonstration I'm going to show you how you can create and populate a new Excel file in Power Automate. So the scenario might be that you're retrieving data from an API, or maybe you have an Excel file that you want to filter and create a fresh Excel file. Well, I'm going to show you how to do exactly that in today's demonstration. So let's jump into my demo. So here we are in my document library, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a brand new Excel workbook, and I'm not going to make any changes. I'm simply going to close it, and we're going to use that for creating the first step of our flow. So here we are in my brand new flow with a manual trigger, and the first step I'm going to use is the get file content. And selecting that, we're now going to choose the SharePoint site where the document lives, and then this brand new file that I've just gone and created in my test document library. And we're simply going to save that and then test it. And the reason we're going to do this is because I want to just capture the output of this action, and then that will allow me to simply delete the file that I've just created. So should we accidentally delete that blank file in the future, we won't have to worry about the flow failing. So I'm going to go into the history. I'm going to look at the output we've got here, and I'm simply going to highlight that file content, Control-C it, and then we're going to create a compose action. And that compose action is now going to be the file content of our brand new Excel file for all future files that we create. So I'll just give that an appropriate name for file content. And then that will allow me to get rid of this get file action or get file content action. And it will also allow me to delete this file that we've created here in the SharePoint document library. So now that we've got all that in place, I can move on to the next step, which is to create a file. So we're going to create a brand new file, and we're going to choose that same SharePoint site again. The folder path will be that document library, which is my test.lib. The file name I'm going to make unique just using the format date time. And so we'll choose here UTC now and some formatting so that we get a unique string, which is going to be in the format of year, month, day, hours, minutes, and seconds. And I just need to put that in single quotes. And that'll give us a unique file name. And all we need to remember now is that we include the file extension for Excel, which is XLSX. And the file content is going to be from this compose action. Then what we're going to do is we are going to create a table. And this will allow us to insert data directly into our Excel file that we've just created. And we're going to use the following location again, the DemoBird 365. The document library again is my test.lib. The file in question, we're going to use the ID from the create file. So here we have the ID. And the table range, we're going to have 5 columns. So it's going to be A, B, C, D, E. So A1 to E1 will give us our table range. The table name will be my new table. And the column names, I'm going to create name, age, address 1, address 2, and postcode. And so that'll create a brand new table in our brand new Excel file with the following column headers, these 5 column headers. So the next step I'm going to do is to actually add a row into our table. So initially I'm just going to add a single row, but then what I'm going to do later on in the demonstration is to pull across an array. And I will actually then use that array to populate our brand new Excel file. So again, as before, select the location, my DemoBird 365 site, the document library. Oh, I've picked the wrong group there. The document library will be the my test.lib. The file will be based on this ID again from the create file action. So I'll just scroll down to that. Here we go, the unique ID of the file or folder. And then when it comes to table, we're going to use the name from the create table action. So we're going to use a custom value. And you can see here, the first dynamic value I've got here is name, so table name. Now the confusing thing for this particular action is it's not providing me with a list of dynamic fields for populating our table, but all we need to simply do is provide an array. So we start with the opening bracket. I'm just going to put a couple of return lines in and have a close bracket, and then all we have to do is simply build up that array. So the names of our columns are based on the following. So I'm going to copy the column names into my JSON array here, and then keys need to be in quotes, so I'm just going to put all of these in quotes. To make it easier to edit, I'm going to put these all onto separate lines like so, and then I'm going to provide the values, so separate them with the colon. And then we're going to insert some values. So I'm going to insert my name. I'm going to insert my age, giving things away there. I'm going to insert my address, which is a house somewhere. Again, make sure these are all in double quotes. I'm going to insert my second line of my address, which is in Scotland. And then finally, my postcode, which is AB101AB. And hopefully if we've got that all correct, whilst it still complains about it entering a valid JSON, I'm hoping if I hit the save button, I've got my formatting correct and it's going to be happy. So it looks like that's all saved. So we've now got the following 4 actions. The first one, which is the file content, which is based on the get file content action. We have a create file, which will create a brand new file using a datetime string and the content from this compose action. We then create a brand new table called my new table with the following 5 columns. The table range is A, B, C, D, E, which is 5 columns, all on row 1. And then we simply add a row to that new table using this array that we've inserted here, this JSON array with the following values: Damien 40, a house somewhere, Scotland, and AB10, 1AB. So I'm going to go ahead and test that, and hopefully, all being well, it will create our brand new Excel file containing that single line in our table. The moment of truth. So the flow has run successfully. I'll jump back onto my document library, and hopefully that file will appear. Let's just do a quick refresh. There's our file based on the date time unique value that I created. And if we open that file, you can see I have a table with the data as provided in that flow. So what I'd like to do now is I'm going to go and edit that flow, and let's pretend we've got an external data source. And so here's one I prepared earlier. I have an array here, a JSON array, with 50 different records containing names, ages, and address, line 1, 2, and postcode. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to add in a new compose action, and that will contain my array of data. Now, of course, you could be querying another Excel file. You could then filter that file using an array filter, and then simply providing that result into an apply to each. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to insert an apply to each, and my aim is to go through this array that I've inserted in this compose action. So we'll just select that compose action there, and then I'm going to simply move this action, adding a row into a table, into my loop. Now, of course, at the moment, my loop is using fixed values, so I'm just going to remove all of these fixed strings that I have in my JSON object here. And I now need to build up some expressions. So because we're in a loop, I will build up an expression using item, question mark, open and close brackets, and single quotes. And then we simply call the object or the key names from our object that we've copied and pasted. So I made sure that they matched, and all I need to do now is type in the likes of name for name. So I'm going to copy that because it'll make my life easier. Of course, for age, I've called it age. And then for address 1 and 2, you've probably guessed by now where I'm going. And I'm also just going to copy that because it'll make it easier for my address too. And finally, if we just get the postcode inserted there. There we go. So this will take the content of the array that we have in the compose action here, which is a massive array of 50 individual records. It will loop through them all and it will pass them to the newly created file. And that file, of course, is based on the file content of this compose action. And just to make things run a bit quicker, I'm going to go into the settings of the apply to each, and I'm going to turn on concurrency. Now I'm going to turn up the concurrency to 50, which means that we're going to hopefully zip through this flow extremely quickly as we add all the different values into our row in parallel rather than one after the other serially. So I'm just going to hit done there. I'm going to hit save. I'm just going to close off this Excel file here. And now that it's ready, I'm going to hit test and done. And hopefully within a few seconds, this process will complete. There we go. The flow has run successfully. And if we just jump across here, we can see our brand new Excel file has been created. And if we jump in here, we have all 50 of our rows in our brand new Excel file that we've created. So the scenario I gave you earlier would be that you are retrieving data from an external source, so maybe another API, or you have an Excel file that you are filtering, and using the filter array or the OData query on the get rows action, you then want to put that result into a brand new Excel file. So this scenario would work perfectly well for you. You can, like I say, get the file content, the file content compose action here. So simply create a file at the beginning of the process, get file content using an action, and then using that history, copy the output from that action and simply paste it into a brand new compose. So that allows you to delete the get file action. You can get file content action, sorry. It also allows you to delete that original file, and then that prevents any further problems down the line where you might accidentally clear out that file, wondering why have I got a blank Excel document in that document library. And create your file. That's a copy of the compose in terms of file content. Create a table and then simply populate your table using add a row into a table action. So I hope that made sense. And as per usual, please make sure you like and subscribe. And if you have any questions about the process or would like me to demonstrate any other functionality within the platform, please leave some comments or get in contact with me via social media. Thanks very much for watching.